What's up, Tempo family? It's your girl Tiana here, wishing you a happy Friday. Today, our featured Tempo artists are Jumu Grant from Trinidad and Tobago and Mr. Blaxx from Nassau, Bahamas. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today.
How's it going? How's it going?
And for those of you watching who are interested in having your music video aired on the Caribbean's #1 entertainment channel, you can email me at tcolbert@temponetworks.com, and I will help you get your music video featured across the Caribbean and tri-state area, reach the masses, and get your music video the exposure that it truly deserves. So let me start by asking Jumu Grant, how did you get started in the music industry?
Not hearing you guys.
Mr. Blaxx, you can go ahead with that question.
No problem. Well, I wasn't always in the position I'm in now. I started off as a secular rapper. I did not have a father figure that the streets is my only like seeing gangbangers and gangsters and certain things I saw. So I thought that was stuff more relatable to
1, 2.
the lifestyle I was living and stuff I was going through. Like I thought it was normal until I grew older and then they say I was doing secular rap. Then I got introduced to church by my aunt. She died now, God bless her soul, Aunt Ruth May.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a different light of life. So I was honestly I went to quit. I I ran into this pastor, his name is Pastor David George Ferguson. He also passed away a few years back, but
Mm-hmm.
he invested time into me. Like he invested time sitting me down and teaching me certain things about being a man and being and about life. So it taught me that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he didn't quit rapping at like just
Mm-hmm.
throw it away. But he's like, if you was bold in the world, why not be bold for God? He said, use your gift because this is a difference. He told me, say, the difference between talent, gift,
Mm-hmm.
and anointing. He says there's a difference between that. He said you are gifted, man. All you need is the anointing of God on your life to continue doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So he said continue on. So I started now producing music in church. Then rather than being in the secular arena, I now moved to a different audience. So now I moved to a different audience. They now trying to figure out who is Mr. Blaxx. So the
Uh-huh.
same question you ask, I had to let them know. Well, I'm just a boy from the streets wanting to be heard and want to make a difference. When I doing that, I just want to
I
be
love
serious in
that.
what I'm doing, And
Mm-hmm.
at, at times, I felt like I just wanted to quit, right? I just want to
Mm-hmm.
stop because some days it'd be discouraging. You get writer's block, and you know what I mean. For our viewers out there who coming up, sometimes it'd be to the point you just want to give in a towel. Nothing new is coming to mind, and that's where, for one, meditation. I learned that starting off meditation, fasting, praying, and depending on
Mm-hmm.
God for the next song or for the next inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I started leaning on God to say, you know what, um, put me around people to inspire me. So landlord
Mm-hmm.
became my mentor, and then I have this brother of mine. He's not my brother, but my brother in Christ. His name is Iman.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's really
Mm-hmm.
gifted. So we be in the studio a lot. So it really pushed me to continue doing what I'm doing and being a better, not just artist, but better minister for the music and for Christ. So that's how I started. I started off from the streets, and then I went right into being in the church, and not just being in the church, but going back into the same streets I came from, to going back to tell dudes like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
if I could do this, it might not be music. Your gift might be with your hands or even speaking. You can do it too. So that's how I start off. I start off just being a nobody in the streets to being somebody for God. You know.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is a great story. Very transformational too and inspiring.
Right.
So we're having a bit of an audio issue. It seems that Jumu Grant can't hear us, but I am messaging him to see if we can fix that. Um, he
Hello?
may need to try reloading again. Hey, we can
Hello?
hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing you guys now.
All right.
Oh, you
That's
can?
good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So my first question is, how did you get started in the music industry?
Oh, it was by a prophetic word I received in 2019 from my senior pastor. And the Lord told me that
Mm-hmm.
this is the route that He wanted me to go on. He wanted me to start producing music and releasing music. And so I took heed to the word, and that was in 2019. And in 2020, I released my first song titled Joy.
Love it. And how did your talent further develop over the years, Jumu Grant?
Oh,
From when
man.
you
Well,
started to where you are now?
it has been because I have been investing in myself. I believe that is something that you really have to take time to do right. I I noticed where I
Mm-hmm.
was when I started in 2020, and I have a plan where I want to get to. So I started to invest in my voice and in training, and it has been paying off well. It has been.
And what about you, Mr. Blaxx? How has your talent improved over the years, transformed over the years from when you first started to where you are right now?
Well, like Jumu said, investing is that's key. That's the first thing. Secondly, I learned that I don't ever stop writing. Again, for our listeners out there and our young musicians coming up, don't ever stop producing. Don't ever stop writing because it's like the more you practice, the more you become better at whatever you practice. So the more you write, the more your skills become better. The more you now you open up to a different light of the world, and then you gotta travel to have better experience, have more experience. So from where I started to where I am now, um, I got more in tune with knowing. You know, when I first started rapping, I it's the first time I hear my
Mm-hmm.
voice, right? So I was like, I sound I sound kind of funny. I gotta get used to hearing myself on the record on a CD. So then
Yeah,
I
I got
get
that
used
feeling.
right. So I get used to hearing myself rap. So as I was like, you know what, I kind of like the way I doing it. But like Jomo said, I start to practice more rapping, start to write more, start to go in the studio more, start to record more, start to shoot more videos. And even the videography, you start to see yourself. So you start to know what you want to do in the next scene and in the next video. So I see myself getting better. And like you said, uh, where I am now ain't where I used to be, but I know where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I know the image and not just the image, but the real me. I want to bring out the spirit man in me to really push it to 100%, to develop that to 100%. You know,
Mm-hmm. And Jumu, was All Praises Due shot entirely in Canada?
No, it wasn't. It was half and half. Part of it was shot in Bahamas, and part of it was shot
Okay.
in Canada.
And why did you choose those locations for this music video?
Oh man, well, the place was cold, number one,
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted to do a bit of that and also a bit of indoors. So we used the church, and
Mm-hmm.
actually the day that we were shooting outside, the weather forecast wasn't supposed to be so cold, but Alberta weather is very, very unpredictable. And so it
Mm.
changed on us like that. So we had to be like in the car outside. We do a shoot. We went back in to warm up. Then it was like that. But the location was a good view over the city. So that's the main reason for choosing that location.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Blaxx, I really enjoyed the transitions in this music video. Do you happen to know who did the editing?
Jumu, the guy on the side did it. But shout out the landlord
Really?
because landlord was the cameraman on this side. Landlord, we just you know the Bahamas. We are as cold as Canada. We don't see sun. Not to say I'm teasing Jumu, but the Bahamas, we got the sunshine. We get to see in the sun. So landlord, he chose some good locations, and we shoot there. But like I say, Jumu on his end, they did all the editing, so that was beautiful, man. That was nice.
Wow. So a man of many talents. He also did the editing for the music video. That's awesome. So Jumu, what did you want your listeners to take away from this song?
In the midst of all that's going on, we ought to give God praise. The Bible says that He inhabits the praises of His people. So when we give Him that praise, it always moves God to act on our behalf. It always moves God to stand with us, because praise goes beyond just a song. It's my way I feel about God. It's my gratitude towards Him. So I want people just to glean from that. In the midst of all, whatever is taking place in your life right now, you find time to give Him praise, because within everything, there is something to learn.
Beautifully said. And Mr. Blaxx, how did you meet Jumu? How did you guys get together for this collaboration?
Oh, I'm gonna let Blaxx go first.
I uh, I met him through like I say, my mentor and my one of my close brothers, landlord. Great man, landlord. We got introduced. It was God sent. It had to been God sent because um my mom just passed last year March, right? And I did a song for her, and apparently Jumu called me and he's like, "Hey man, this song you did for your mom is really it's heartfelt." I feel like we sometimes write the best songs from reality stuff we're going through for people to really relate, like everyday problems. So he called me and he was like, "Man, this is really touching. Some people could already even here in the Bahamas when it was playing, it played for months on the radio." So I really was in the studio crying, writing and really pouring out on the mic. So me and Jumu came together, and when I first speak to Jumu, it was like speaking to a big brother. I have a lot of brothers, but I know that one brother would you really respect. Like I really respect him, his words, his confidence, his humility, and from there I was like, yeah, that's someone I could really be with. Because if you walk with the wise, you become wise.
And Jumu, what was it like working with Mr. Blaxx?
It was phenomenal. Blaxx
And
is a
what did Mr. Blaxx add to the track that made it even better having you both on together?
he added everything for me in my terms, right? Because when I heard the beat, the first thing I thought about was I needed someone to rap on this track, and he came to mind. So when I reached out to him and told him, bro, I'm thinking about us to collab on something, then he told me, man, like in the week I was thinking the same thing. I said,
Yeah,
okay, well, let's do this. So he just put the how to put it, the icing on the cake, the
yeah.
finishing, and it was so brilliant. I respect his pen, his ability to write. I respect that, and he did a phenomenal job, man. I guess everyone could hear it, right?
I can hear it. It's a beautiful song. So, Mr. Blaxx, what's your favorite part of your job as an artist?
My favorite part of my job is the studio. With the writing part, sometimes it gets hard. Like I say, you have writer's block, and then you have to leave the pen for a day or two until it comes back to you, and then you go back and some new ideas. But when everything is all together and the puzzle is complete, and then I go to the studio, and it's almost like I'm waiting till tomorrow for Christmas Christmas, that excited feel, like the feeling. So when I'm in the studio, and the best part of it is after I produce and I do it for God, because everything we do unto the Most High, it should be done not mediocre, but to the best of our ability, because God don't give us nothing but the best. And when we ask, He give us above and beyond. So I think we should pour out ourselves. Everything we do it like this is our last time we about to do this. So I about to give it my all. So when me in the studio, like I have people around me, they're not yes men. They're like, hey, you gotta rewrite that, or you gotta wrap that over. Or, hey, you know, bro, you can't say that. Say it like this. You gotta put more passion into that. So after doing all of that, that's my favorite part, because now I know, all right, we have a masterpiece here we can put out to the world, and they can appreciate it just as much as us. You know?
And Jumu, what other projects are you working on right now that our viewers can look forward to seeing in the near future
Oh man, I have a lot of
that you
stuff
can
that
share?
I got a lot of stuff that I'm working on. I actually was going to release a
That's
song
awesome.
before the year was out, but I'm holding it back. I'm gonna drop that in
Okay.
January, February. Some other
Okay.
collabs, um, so they can look forward to great music. Great
We have a
music
lot
just
to look
coming out.
forward to from Jumu
Yeah.
Grant. And what about you, Mr. Blaxx? What are you working on right now that our viewers can look forward to seeing in the near future?
I did a few collaborations. I haven't done anything personal yet, but everything is in motion. Done a few collaborations, still waiting on the production to finish so we could drop. I'm still waiting on Jumu to send me the next beat so we can do something nice again. And I have trying to work on an album. Not saying too much about it right now, but
Okay.
it's in the future, making God's spell life. I'm just trying to continue being the family man and continue dealing with my family, you know.
And Jumu, where can we follow you on social media to keep up with your latest releases?
Okay, so you just go to any platform, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on uh, all of the platforms. You just type in Jumu Grant, JUMUGRANT, and you're gonna find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Oh,
You're
love
gonna
TikTok.
find me. You're gonna find me there.
And what about you, Mr. Blaxx? Where can we follow you on social media?
Well, I'm on YouTube as Kevin Burrows. I'm on Instagram as Mr. Blaxx. I'm on Facebook as Kevin Mr. Blaxx Burrows. And I just joined TikTok. So I'm Mr. Blaxx Burrows on TikTok.
And Jumu, where can we purchase your music to support you as an artist?
Uh, the music is available on all streaming platforms. So you just put the name in Jumu Grant, my rock, Jumu Grant, all praises due, Jumu Grant, Jesus, I love you, Jumu Grant, joy. You're gonna find it.
And Jumu, is there anyone on your team you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap up our interview?
To everyone that has supported me since the beginning of this, I want to say a big thank you to my manager, Mr. Orlando Miller, my senior pastor, Apostle Liam Bogle, my producer, Mr. Solomon Bill, Dr. Ian Cummins out of Trinidad and Tobago, my beautiful wife, my kids, and to everyone that stands with me. Thank you.
Beautiful. And what about you, Mr. Blaxx? Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to on your team?
Most definitely. I'd like to shout out Atlantis team. You know, I mean, Team Atlantis for allowing this interview to come to pass because I'm not home. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Raquel Burrows. Shout out to my kids, Kiana Cabon and KJ. Shout out to my pastor, Pastor Cindy Ferguson, my mentor, my manager, and my brother, Orlando Miller. Shout out to everyone who supports and continue on regardless. They continue on supporting. Shout out to Tempo for this interview. We do appreciate this so much, man. Shout out to Tempo. You know what we do. You know how it go. Shout out, peace and love every time, man. And again, I say y'all just continue on tuning into Tempo from start to finish.
Love it. Thank you, gentlemen, both for joining me today for this interview. It was a pleasure to get to meet you guys personally after seeing the music video airing. And the music video is now on Tempo, can be seen throughout our music video blocks during the day, every day. All praise is due. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us. God
Peace and
bless
love.
you.